602-8477 or www.crimenb.ca.
Thank you so much for tuning in this evening to What Matters Most. I'm your host, Heather Acker, and tonight we have a full show of great guests. Now, our show, What Matters Most, is focused around events, interesting people, new companies that are coming into town, anything that's really interesting that deserves some attention. So if you know of somebody or a company that would like to be on our show, please drop us a line. And without any further ado, I'd like to introduce my first two guests, and they're with the Culture Fest. I have Kayla and Guy. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It's great to have you here. So, Culture Fest. Now, what is a Culture Fest?
Yeah, so Culture Fest is a one-day festival that we're having in St. John. It's its second edition, so this is year 2 that we're having Culture Fest. What it is, it's a celebration for all the diverse cultures that exist in St. John. So there'll be live entertainment, vendors, exhibitors, games, lots of activities for people, anyone to come and attend, and kind of celebrate the different cultures and learn more about different cultures that are here.
Oh, fantastic. And when you say diverse cultures and different cultures, are you talking about like everything from dancing to food? Or?
Yes, so we're going to be highlighting a handful of countries. So we have different representatives who are from different countries that have brought their culture here and practice their culture here in Canada. Okay. And they'll be sharing what they eat and how they dance and the music they listen to and the crafts they have and the attire they wear and the games they play from their home culture. So
nice,
yeah.
Nice. And Guy, what's your input to the Culture Fest? What's your position?
My position is with the Newcomer Center,
okay,
which is located on Union Street. And we have started the Culture Fest last year as on the boardwalk, which was next to the Fort Latour.
Okay.
That we had it, and it was a success. We had 8,000 people last year at that event.
Wow.
It was an outside event. This year it's going to be inside event at the Arbor Station.
Nice.
And we had 27 countries last year between food vendors and exhibitors, and so lots of people to show and lots of costumes to show too. We might have celebration of costumes of different countries.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
So with the amount of volunteers and the people involved, are they bringing their culture to? Do you have everybody, all diverse countries, do you think?
It's diverse countries. Up to now, I think we got like 15 countries registered with us,
wow,
between exhibitors and vendors.
Yes.
And many of them will be dressed as they are dressed in their country.
Nice.
So they will have the good dress and to show what they have and explain to people what they used to have and what they used to wear in their country. You got wedding dresses, which are different from what we have here.
Oh yes, yes. I suppose especially with the colors and the celebrational adornment to it,
yes,
it would be really beautiful.
All that.
Yeah.
Oui.
So is this an event that kids can attend?
Yes, it's open to everyone.
Everybody.
Everybody.
I love that, Guy.
Everybody.
So everybody in St. John and surrounding area have to come.
Oh yes, and we are invited people that are outside of St. John, that if they want to come and participate, to be a volunteer, to be a vendor, or to be an exhibitor of what they have, and farmers are invited too.
Oh,
so
yes, well, of course.
They can come and show what they have. We will reserve a table for them. So
excellent.
They can come, and it's open to everyone, as I say.
I love that. So Harbor Station is where the event's going to be. So it's going to be on the floor, I would assume?
Yes.
Almost like a trade show area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take up the whole floor. Will there be a stage, do you think, is there some cultural dancing?
Yes, so we're going to have a schedule of different showcases happening. So
Okay.
dancing, we have some children who are going to share their history from the culture that they're originally from. We'll have performances galore. So all day there's going to be a certain schedule that we'll release closer to the event date.
Of course, yes.
October 12th. I have not mentioned yet. So closer to the event date, we'll have the schedule released, and we'll have quite a few fun and diverse activities happening on stage.
Excellent.
And
Excellent.
we also have the kids corner. There will be games
wow.
from other countries that they can play. They know, and it's about the same as people kids play over here.
Yeah.
And also we will have a corner of for families that they can have a sit, and there will be a place also for breastfeeding if any women are breastfeeding the babies.
Oh,
and
wow.
it will be a family place, so
Great.
it's really open.
Excellent. You're accommodating all needs
All needs.
so that everybody can make it.
Everybody can make it. There won't be any excuse.
Yeah.
And it's, as I understand, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is it free to attend?
Yes, totally
Wow.
free.
Yep.
Even better.
So there are going to be some vendors that are selling bigger meals and selling their crafts
Sure.
and their art and their products.
Okay.
So I would, if you want to buy big meals and whatnot, I would bring that. There will be samples at the exhibitors, but it is free to walk in through the door. You
Nice.
can play all the games you want to. We also have a living library that is new this year.
Can you explain what a living library is?
Yes, so you can fill in the gaps if you need to. So living library is like an actual library, but instead of checking out books, you're checking out people.
Oh.
Yes. So what we're going to do is we have a lot of volunteers that
Yes.
have volunteered to share more about their culture and their experience in a one-on-one setting. So you'd go to the living library, you'd check out who you want to based on their backstory, and they tell you about their experience coming to St. John, what they do with their culture, how it differs from New Brunswick, and all sorts of things. So yeah,
Neat.
it's pretty interesting. We're excited to kind of bring that around. Did I miss
Yes,
it?
it's no, you didn't miss nothing. It's perfect. It's to explain how they were in their country.
Yeah.
That you ask questions, you got 10 minutes. It's like a speed dating.
I like it.
You got 10 minutes to ask some questions and get your answers.
Yeah.
Then you know the newcomers more than you better than before.
That's awesome. So you'll be creating all these friendships too, because
Yes.
once you get to talk to somebody, then you
Yes.
get familiar with them, and then it's like all of a sudden you're building bridges with all kinds of people from all different countries.
Of
That's
course.
the goal.
Yeah, that's the
a
goal,
of it.
right?
And sometimes they might be neighbors and they never talk.
Well, that's true. That's right. Sometimes we just need to get out of our own homes and our little neighborhoods and introduce to new people and new opportunities.
Exactly.
I love myself. I'm going to certainly be at this attendance, but I love food. So I love to try things, and sometimes it can be really spicy, or it depends. But it's always fun.
No, it's
exciting.
always fun because newcomers bring new values
Yes.
and new spice, new food, new stuff that you never tried.
Sure.
And it's going to be the place to try something.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
you try a new food and you say, oh, wow, I never tasted that before, but there's a restaurant uptown. There is somewhere that I can go.
Right.
And
Right.
you taste it.
So how was the response from people when you were asking, or did you call out for volunteers for this? Like, how did you start to gather the people for your Culture Fest?
Yeah, so far we've kind of just been walking around with our application form and more information
Oh.
about the event and sharing it online. We just started online on Facebook at CultureFest SJ.
So that's how people can follow it right now?
Yes. So
Yes.
we share our online form there, and if people wanted to reach out to us to participate as well, they've been reaching out to our email address, which is culturefestsj@gmail.com. So right now we're just gathering more people who are interested in attending, volunteering. So you don't have to be part of any specific culture. If you just want to come and volunteer and help us out at the event, that you're more than welcome to. We have vendors who are coming to sell products, exhibitors who are just showcasing, and then for performers as well. So we're doing good, but we're still looking for more people. So if anyone's
Excellent.
interested in coming and participating in any way that they'd like to, we're still taking applications up until the end of the month. A little early, we can push it a little bit into September, but
If you're a
Yeah.
new group in town, then you want to show your music. That
Oh,
would be
yes.
the place that they can come.
Yes.
It's open to everyone, as I said. So you got you want to sing
Yes.
and you want to show your people that you know how to sing and you got new songs, then people will know you. This is the place.
Wow, that's excellent. Now, you said this is the second
The
Culture
second
Fest?
Culture
So
Fest.
last year was the first.
Last year, yes.
And wow, so you've got quite a group of people pulled together already.
Oh,
That's going to
yes.
be
Oh,
awesome.
yes. Oh, yes.
Fantastic.
Run by a pretty awesome team, too.
Lots of
Yeah.
people working around and lots of people working on the background, and so it's going to be. We want to make it like St. Johners need to remember Culture Fest, like it's coming every year.
Yes, I love that.
There's a lot of community groups too that are on the committee that are pushing through the event to make sure it comes off successful. So we have the St. John Newcomer Center, they're overseeing the entire event, they're the
Okay.
host.
Yeah.
Nice.
The local immigration partnership as well.
Local Immigration Partnership, City of St. John, and also the New Brunswick government and the PRUD are,
Oh, yes.
yes.
Yes,
We are all together to put that on.
Yes. The leader of Prude is,
That's Lee Song.
yes, Lee. Lee's been on our show a few times. Yes, and
yes.
yeah, very, very well spoken on the culture side of things for sure. So she'll be there as well, I'm assuming.
Yes. Well, all our team will be there.
Yeah.
Everyone will be there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the date of the event, let's talk about that again so everybody that's watching, if they just tuned on or tuned into our show, that they know exactly when it is, how to get involved. So
Yes. So
and where it
it's
is.
International Culture Fest happening in St. John on October 12th this
12th.
year at Harbor Station. So the event is going to be open from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. It's free admission. Families can come and join. People who are interested in learning more about different cultures can join. You can come throughout the entire 10 to 6 time frame.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if you're interested in actually participating on a higher level, reach out to us by email, culturefestsj@gmail.com. Head over to our Facebook page, at culturefestsj. We're also on Instagram. And we'd love for people to join us as exhibitors, vendors, volunteers, performers, anything. So right now we're really pushing hard for
More vendors, more
Yeah.
participants, and more also exhibitors too. We are looking for everybody
Okay.
as much we can. We've got almost 15 to 20 people that registers, but we want to go up to 40.
Sure. And following you on Facebook is going to be the best because it's probably going to be updated. It's probably the quickest, I'm assuming, to that. Pictures, can people take photos of everything going on?
Yes, it's
Yeah?
open to everyone. It's there.
Okay, that's fantastic.
As long as you ask for permission before you post it.
Well, thank you so much for being here tonight, and thank you for giving us a really good idea of what Culture Fest is going to be.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for watching our first guest, and stay tuned. We have our next guest coming up, and it's all a tanning event.
It's packed to the rafters in the Edmonton Arena. Everyone is feeling the pressure on the Grabs as they await the American champs. Here's the Cleveland favorite Knits now, and boy, do they look impressive.
Look at their uniforms. I bet you could sure run in smart shorts like those.
Not that. Look, world champs in my eye.
Grads, we don't play for glory. We play the game for the game's sake. So tonight, you're going to earn that title by playing your game. Teamwork, passing. Let's show them what it means to play the Grads.
The Edmonton Grads were champions for 25 years. The record of 502 wins and only 20 losses is unmatched in all of sport.
An American with a machine gun has taken over Kreditbanken. Kreditbanken?
All of Sweden would like to know, what is it like being stuck in there with those criminals?
It's not too bad.
Are you crying? Do you have information about a crime that has occurred or is about to occur? This information can help solve crimes, and tipsters always remain anonymous. Crime Stoppers, 1-800-222-TIPS or www.crimenb.ca.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. I'm now with my second guest this evening, and this is Jessica Smith, and she is the owner of Luxury Tan and Beauty.
It's now and beauty. It started off just as luxury
tan.
And now we've evolved. So.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes. It is nice to see that you've evolved, because you started how many years ago?
It's almost been 7 years, and it was kind of just fell into my lap. It never was really something I set out to do, or never anything I really intended on doing, and I've just kind of grown with the industry and grown with the demand. So roughly 7 years ago, I had a skin cancer scare.
Oh,
and
goodness.
I loved tanning beds, and I love to tan, but I was having a really big issue with finding a good self-tanner that I could do at home or on myself. I had a lot of mistakes. I'm the poster child for everything that could go wrong. So one day while I did the chemical engineering technology program, and we learned how to make spray tan as part of like our organic chemistry class, which was really, really cool. And I just had this light bulb moment of, I'm gonna make my own spray tan product. Doing some research, figuring out that it's really not that easy to formulate your own product by yourself unless you're like, a big industry.
Sure.
So I was able to just kind of start up literally doing spray tans in my kitchen on people. And I did it as a hobby on myself, and then on my friends, and then friends told friends, and then friends told other people, and people started knocking on my door, and I decided I would give myself sort of a 6-month goal. Cool. I would try doing spray tans. I'd set up a little salon in Uptown St. John, go for 6 months and see what it was like, and if it didn't work, I'd go back to working in the real world.
Sure.
6 months went by, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and now it's been 6.5 years, and roughly 2.5 years ago, I decided that I'd open up a second location. Mm-hmm. So I have my Uptown location, which I've had since the beginning, and then I decided to open a spot in Rossay. And when doing that, I realized that spray tanning wasn't going to be the only thing I wanted to do. I had a lot of people trusting my advice as far as, the beauty industry as a whole, asking for recommendations on nails, hair, lashes. So I decided, why don't I employ these people that I recommend?
Absolutely.
So I added in beauty, and we do the Rossay salon and now the Uptown salon. We both offer full aesthetic services. I still do the spray tans, but it's grown from just spray tans in my kitchen and going mobile and doing people's houses to doing hundreds of spray tans every week in both of the salons. So it's pretty big, and it keeps me busy, but I have fun at work every day, which is really nice. And I'm not slaving away doing the stuff that I was trained to do. At first, my family was really questioning, like, why are you wasting all of this education? You're so smart. Why aren't you working in your field? They've kind of stopped asking those questions the past couple of years, and they were kind of hopping on board and supporting me, which is really nice. So.
Oh, I'm so pleased to hear that, because chemical engineering is not an easy course.
No, it was definitely hard, and there was moments I cried and was not it's not easy, but to get through it and to accomplish that goal was really nice. And then I was just like, okay, let's do my own thing.
Yeah,
I just have this thing about, seeing what's different and going out there and trying whatever. And within my first year of being in business, I won an award through CBC at the Outstanding Business Achievement Award. So I just always had these little things that were kind of pushing me forward, and give it another 6 months, give it another 6 months. And even, we have our slow times and we have our busy times. So I just keep pushing through, and every year just goes by, and I'm amazed that I'm still in business because I have so many people that support me, which is awesome, especially in such a small town. Like, my clients are amazing. The city's amazing. I can't say anything about it that I don't love.
Wow. And what do you think about being an entrepreneur in St. John?
It's definitely great because the city will stand behind you. There's great word of mouth in this city, but it's definitely a learning game. Like, I'm not a business person. I kind of just go with it and try it out, test the water, see how it goes. Yeah, test my gut, get a lot of feedback from my clients. I'm not really one of those confident people that like to ask for help, but to be able to get a good relationship with my clients over the year and get their opinion on what they think is good, or, I'm always testing out new products and testing out new things, which is really nice because I'll bring stuff in and I have like my little guinea pigs that love to try things for me. But it's really nice because there's always a lot of support and there's always a lot of feedback too. You can really tell if something's going to be a hit or something's not going to be a hit, which is the good and the bad of it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
One of the trends that are happening these days are lashes. Are you into that as well?
We do lashes. Yeah, we do lashes at both of our locations. One of our big things is gel nails, though.
Oh, is it?
I have a couple girls that are just amazing at gel nails, and honestly, they're booked up until Christmas or after Christmas.
Wow.
So we're all booked up really far in advance, which is amazing. But to add to that, we're actually the distributor in Canada for a gel polish line called Luxa Polish.
Oh, okay.
So we sell to everyone in Canada. The product comes from Los Angeles. They're on a big TV show down there, and it's really popular. So I was really fortunate enough to be able to take that and take the reins and be the first distributor in Canada and sell to everyone in Canada, which has really given me knowledge outside of what I'm used to, but helps me really grow with the business and figure the ins and the outs of every product so I can answer all of the questions. And my girls are amazing to be able to help me with that and grow with that. So I have awesome stuff, I must say. They're really great. I can't say anything bad. So yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. I know that there's a lot of, I suppose right now, there's a lot of weddings and wedding groups that probably book. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have a lot of weddings come in. Like I said, I'm doing about 100 to 200 per week. Prom's a really big time of year for us. It's probably our busiest week of the year. But on top of that, weddings is like our number one thing that goes on. A lot of people come in, a couple days before, a couple weeks before, like you did, and give it a try.
I can contest that I am actually a client now, and I love it. And if anyone's looking at me and saying, wow, she looks darker, she looks like she went on vacation, I did not go anywhere sunny or hot.
You came for 5 minutes at your vacation uptown visiting me.
It was so quick, and you were so easy to get the process going and everything. Like, you just told me exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And I was so comfortable. And where it was a fairly big space that we walked into to do the spray, that was really neat too.
Yeah, a lot of people have to get over that initial fear of being in a room with somebody in a vulnerable position.
Yes.
But my number one goal, first it's not to make you turn orange, because that's what everyone talks about.
Which was great. I did not.
And then the second thing is to make people feel comfortable, because I always say if I made someone feel uncomfortable, if they had a bad experience, that would be the worst part for me. Right. My number one thing is to make you have a good experience overall, get the comfort out, and kind of forget that you're doing what you're doing. So talk and just have a good time. But yeah, weddings are definitely our number one hit other than proms. So this is our busy time. This is our, and then we'll die off around fall. It'll get a little less busy, and then the big events and all that will come. So we're always around. We're always doing spray tans 12 months out of the year, 6 days a week, keeping people nice and glowing.
One thing I'll ask about the technical side of the spray tan, if you can share this, is that you're mixing. So you look at somebody and you kind of say, well, if I know exactly what kind of formula to mix, which I was not expecting at all. I just thought it was going to be a bottle of this, or you're this bottle.
Yeah.
You're not. You're very custom.
That's kind of what I like to do. I like to do more customizing and making something that's better for you. So I like to have a wide variety of different browns and different shades and different darknesses, as opposed to just 1, 2, or 3.
Right.
I find a lot can go wrong if you're sticking to this guideline of, so obviously I've experimented on myself and my friends enough that I've made mistakes, but I've learned from those mistakes as well. So there's no mistakes happening anymore, and I always make sure. But I prefer to have it more of a customized experience, so then you feel like you look like yourself without looking unnatural. And that's my number one goal. You want to look tanned without looking like somebody else.
Right.
So there's all different colors, there's all different darknesses, there are different ranges, and I've been able to work with a company over the years to make the best of the best. So I've always continued to grow with the business, and coming forward, I will be coming out with my own product line of the mixes and of the things that I like. So it's kind of like another goal I've set forth. So hopefully in the fall and hopefully over the next few months, there'll be like Jessica's spray tan.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And my daughter's name's Jessica, so of
That's
course,
awesome.
and I think that's going to be a fantastic success. And she is actually a client of yours too,
Yeah.
because she is getting married in a couple of weeks, and she is pretty pale as I was, and I think it was new for her. Now, here's a little question with the, and I'm not holding you to anything. This is
Yeah.
just off the mark. Tanning beds, spray tanning. What's the difference?
We get a lot of phone calls on a daily basis, weekly basis about tanning beds. And I find it's more coming up as far as in the springtime and when people are starting to go away. I've just never really embraced them. I mean, obviously I did when I was younger, and that's what got me into having a skin cancer scare. When I first started in the industry of spray tanning, it was when the regulations came about as far as like I think you have to be 19 or something like that to go into a tanning bed now. Yeah. Spray tans, there's no age limit, which makes it really general because it's classified as cosmetics in Canada.
Yes.
So it's just like going to the store and buying your self tanner is the same thing as what I'm doing. So that kind of lets it be more general and for everybody. And men do tan too.
Oh yes,
I
that was a
get
good
quite
question.
a few
Yes.
men that come in all year round. I mean, we do the bodybuilding shows and stuff as well, which would obviously bring more male figures in. But through vacation time, and people have skin cancer or have had melanoma, so they stick out of the sun and they fake it till they make it. So men come in all year round, and it's not just like a women's industry as though it is cosmetic and stuff. So it gives us a wide variety. Like, we obviously don't want to do anyone too young because, you know, that's not really, we're not doing toddlers and tiaras, but we are still trying to encourage healthy tanning for people. And a lot of parents are really trying to encourage their, you know, teenage daughters to stay out of the sun and stay out of tanning beds and not encouraging that. So that's really helped us be successful. People still choose tanning beds, but it's just not something I've ever embraced or ever thought about doing, just for the health factor of it.
Sure. Yeah. And I have nothing negative to say regarding the tanning beds scenario. I just wanted to sort of see the difference of, you know, why this was my choice was because of the tanning beds. I've previously had an issue with skin that sort of went blotchy, and I thought it was because of the lights, and maybe I was just unique that way, and it was only an isolated incident.
And the cool thing about spray tanning is it takes one time. Whereas your tanning beds, you could take
go back and
9 weeks or 9 sessions, or, you know, it takes quite a bit of time to get that one dark result that you're going for.
Right.
So, you know, it's commitment and it's time and it's money, whereas this one session of tanning, which is $35 to $45, you're done. You can go as dark as you want. You can go as light as you want. You can come back again if you want. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. It's not for everyone, but it's a good, healthy, quick, safe option. 5 minutes and you're done.
Well, it's very refreshing. I must say that since I've experienced it personally, having the spray in my face and cooled me right down.
It's good on a hot day.
It was great on a hot day.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much for being with me
Thanks
tonight.
for having me.
And,
it was great.
you know, thank you for educating us on spray tanning, and I wish you all the success.
Thank you so much.
All right. I would like to also be one of your first clients if you have your own product. Excellent, excellent, I will. And thank you so much for watching What Matters Most, and stay tuned for my next guest coming up.
Hey, it's Chris and Chris from New Brunswick's favorite sports show here, Across the Line, where we talk about everything from local sports across the province, whether it's hockey, baseball, or basketball. Where can we find it, Chris?
Hey, as always, your favorite network, Rogers TV.
It was my daughter's birthday. She was blowing out the candles on her cake when we heard coming from the TV. So we stopped and listened, and it helped us get to safety. That's why when I think of my daughter's birthday, because now she gets to keep having them.
Somebody get the door. Permission to come aboard.
So we're good?
I am the protector of the deep. And you know what you're fighting for.
We're going to be the #1 media conglomerate.
Some people don't know how to be rich and still act like a human being. What do you want?
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the Community Billboard.
More than half of tips reported through the Crime Stoppers program are now reported online. Information about unsolved crimes, local advisories, and how to report tips anonymously can be found at www.crimenb.ca.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. I'm now with my third guest of the evening, and I'm with Jeff Kelly. And he is a film producer, right?
Yes, for lack of a better term. Currently working on something that I've written and directed as well, and producing it. And it's called The Pugilist, and it's a story of an aging boxer who is suffering from a cognitive brain condition known as CTE, or cognitive traumatic encephalopathy.
That's a big word, encephalopathy.
It's a stuffaluffagus of terms.
Yes, yes. Where did the idea, where did you get inspired to even start a film?
Well, many years ago, actually, I had studied film at UMB under Barry Cameron and Tony Mazzaretti.
Okay.
And, Mazzetti, Mazzaretti's the car. And I was doing that, and I got away from that sidetrack over time, got into supply chain management for a while, and was working in industry. It wasn't very satisfying, and of course, what I'd always really wanted to do was write.
Really?
So, yes, and I actually have 4 books out, and I'll be novelizing The Pugilist. That'll become my 5th book.
Really? I didn't know this, Jeff.
Oh, geez, I'm a
you got
vertical.
all kinds of talent.
Oh, geez, I'm amazing.
You are. So let's hear more about it.
So what I did was, at one point, I left the place I was working. The environment had become quite hostile and quite nasty, and it just wasn't worth going back in anymore. So I stopped. And that was that. So then after I stopped, I said, well, I should do something. And that's when my first book came out. And I get a dog that time, too, and spent most of my days just walking my dog, roaming around aimlessly. And I was in a position where I was debt-free, so I was able to do that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'd still be where I was, suffering away. Where it eventually grew into this current project is, like most good Irishmen, I love boxing.
Okay.
And I think it's something we pick up in the taverns.
I think it's in your blood. I think if you're Irish, it's in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's right up there with whiskey. And what came from that was this idea that at some point I would like to do a boxing movie. Now, where it ties into a CTE is one day I woke up and I realized I used to be really smart, and now I'm not. And I start to wonder what might have happened to me between multiple concussions, fracturing my skull, leading with my face a little too much, maybe. I just became more and more interested in, at the same time, mental health as well. I was sitting on the board of directors for Gentle Path at the time that the idea first started percolating. So you start tying different ideas and concepts together. Yeah. And I didn't want to tell a boxing story that was going to be a rehash of Rocky. Somebody already did that. He did it well. I can't do that any better than he did. So I decided to tell a story about the other guy. What happened to the guy you don't hear about? In the first Rocky, we hear the name Spud Rico once, we never hear it again. So what happened to him and all the other fighters like him?
Right.
Rocky, he's the 1 in a million shot. Yeah. That means the rest of them, their story hasn't been told yet.
Right.
So we focused on that type of an opportunity. And so what came of that was this opportunity to tell a story about a guy who was an aging boxer past his prime, who had never quite gotten where he should have. He never received a title shot despite his record, largely because he wasn't a fascinating and a flashy fighter. Right now in the world of combat sports, being good is one thing, drawing a crowd is another.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at the UFC, for example, everyone's heard the name Brock Lesnar. He's got a terrible record, really, for a UFC fighter. He's at around 50%, but big pay-per-view numbers.
Okay.
So that's sort of part of the sport. The sport needs spectators to survive. So you could be a great fighter, and to take another example, just to stay with the UFC, for example, a very famous fighter named Michael Bisping. He had to win 3 times as many fights as anyone else to get a title shot because he was a very technical fighter, and he fought a very solid game. but he wasn't flashy to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
So our protagonist in this, he's a fighter. We've named him Seamus Logan, named him after my dog Seamus.
Which is Irish.
It all comes back to that in the end. And so he's had a winning record most of his career, never had a title shot. He was never a polished fighter. He was a fighter that did two things really well and only two things really well. He could take one snot load of a beating, and he had a really powerful right cross. But these more accomplished fighters, more technically sound ones with a better game, people wanted to see them, so he never got his title shot. The other guys always did.
Right.
Well, now he's at the twilight of his career. His record isn't as good anymore. Like many fighters that have been in his position, he's gone too long.
Mm-hmm.
And at the risk of now tarnishing his legacy, he still pushes on. This is when he winds up, and this is what brings us to the beginning of our movie.
Yeah.
He's in a fight with a younger fighter, Tommy the Hangman Kid, who's the next big thing. He's this up-and-coming, really crisp, really dynamic fighter. And he just beats poor old Seamus from pillar to post in the opening minute of the movie. So I'm not giving anything away. And from there, he's diagnosed with CTE. The problem, the conflict that comes in with the movie is it's later revealed that the younger fighter Kid had failed the drug test. And this was a contenders match. So the conflict now is, should he walk away from fighting, or even knowing it's going to very much damage his own lifestyle, his own mind, try to get that title shot that he's been chasing for 25 years. The subplot running along against this is the boxer's wife is a philosophy professor who specializes in the area of John Locke and the study of identity and the bridge between the philosophical and psychological gaps of identity. So as he's facing this identity crisis in his own mind, very much so in a literal and figurative sense, and his career is going down, she's given tenure at a university and her career is going up.
Oh, okay.
So
interesting.
that creates another layer of conflict and another dimension inside the whole, I guess, rigmarole of it all.
Cool. So this is very interesting. It's very deep about this whole movie and the complexity of what you've created.
Oh, thank you.
How did you start with the whole movie filming, and where did that come from?
Well, this project itself actually originally began as a short story called The Gatekeeper, and it was published in a volume called The Gatekeeper and Other Stories, available on Amazon. And that was turned into a short film.
Okay.
And the short film ran about 10 minutes, and it was basically just taking one moment of this larger story and putting it out to some festivals. There was some interest in it, so I expanded that to a feature-length script.
Oh, okay.
And from there, wound up recruiting a lot of great talent all around locally. Groove Hill Studio came to shoot it. We have a brilliant composer by the name of Scott Brownlee who created an original score, which is a very unusual thing to have at a film at this level.
Yes.
And he and his wife also composed an original song that they put lyrics to that there's going to be a video tie-in for.
Oh, nice.
Which is very interesting, very nice. Katie Orm came on and did all the special effects, makeup. We had support from KV Boxing, the Oramoto Boxing Club, the St. John Golden Gloves, Rob Doley Academy of Martial Arts. Obviously, these people were very interested, but there was also a lot of interest with the theater. A lot of the theater crowd came out to audition for this. We had support from Shout Along, U Station, the Five and Dime. So it really went across the whole spectrum once the story got out there and what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
People became interested, and the big question always was, geez, this is a good idea. Why hasn't anyone ever talked about this before? And right now, with CTE becoming more topical, and you see things like initiatives with young amateur boxing, maybe to remove head punches when they're sparring at the younger ages. That's happening in some places over in England and such. They're taking tackle out of youth football in certain areas because they've discovered with the research, the younger you are, the more likely this will lead to something down the road. Whereas if you wait till the kids are into college, the tackles aren't going to matter, the hit shots aren't going to matter as much. I wouldn't say they won't matter, but the risk is mitigated. So it's becoming very interesting, and I think we've just managed to hit a topic at the right time.
Okay.
And we're trying to raise awareness about it all while telling an entertaining story, of course.
I think it's fantastic. I love the creativity to that. Jeff, we have some pictures that you've been able to provide for us.
Yes.
If you could sort of give us a little heads up on or narrate what we have coming up for photos. There's a picture up there, if you can see that.
Well, this actually is one of my favorite scenes in this movie. This film, this is a still from a sequence in which the boxer's wife, Brooke, who's played there by a gifted actor, Chelsea Johnson. She's come in to the gym after she's discovered he started to train again, and he shouldn't be, and she leaves him, and this creates more conflict. This is basically the ultimatum moment.
Sure.
What are you going to do?
All right, and then I think there she is again.
Now, this is near the conclusion. This is probably about 3 minutes away from the end of the film, so I don't want to give too much away about what she's up to. But as you can see, she's very well lit, and this scene is all about her and her reacting to what events have transpired without giving away any of the ending and all the rest of it. We shot that in a facility that actually had no heat and no plumbing, so it was a tough shoot. Oh, yes, and it was in November.
Oh no, there's a familiar face. It looks like it might be Brian.
Yes, we have Brian Mazerow there on the right-hand side, and beside him is Rob Jeffrey. Rob comes over from the St. John Theatre Company, and Brian Mazerow, of course, is a combat fighter from way back.
Yeah.
These cats, they play some pretty unscrupulous fellas. Rob Jeffrey plays the head coach or trainer of Seamus Logan, and Brian is his training partner, and they know he shouldn't fight.
Oh, okay. Oh, and that would be your advertisement for
yes,
the Pugilist. Yes.
That's one of the main posters there.
Very good. Well, you have a little story. We've got a few minutes.
I have many little stories. Which one would you like to hear?
One that's, I think we got about 2 minutes.
The disfigurement?
The disfigurement, yeah. Talk about that for a minute.
Well, like any good fight movie, somebody always gets hurt on set, and it happened to be me.
My goodness.
I went into this movie with a much crookeder nose than I have today. But while filming it, I had broken it for the 14th time.
Oh my gosh, Jeff.
And what had happened is the fellow playing the young boxer is a very, very good fighter, and we were going for ultra realism, and he's very fast. He's faster than anybody I've ever sparred or fought with, and he's very good. And he's in there thinking like a boxer, which is what he should do. Yeah. It's what he was told to do. Me, because I'm a little slow, I'm thinking like a director. And I'm trying to lead him towards camera angles. I'm not paying as much attention to him as I should. Yeah. And of course, I've got to fight badly for the movie, so I'm flat-footed, my elbows are out. So I walked right into his right cross, and
wow.
It sounded just like somebody was cracking a 2x4 over their knee. And
ouch.
So we turned this into opportunity immediately. The first thing I did was I shouted to get me over to the corner and sat me down. We had a fellow on set who's a nurse by trade who started stopping the bleeding. I swapped him out and had Brian come in and sit down there so that his hand would be over top. So we got some great footage, so it fits and it looks. So anyone who comes out to see this is going to get to see my nose get broken.
Awesome.
So
well,
worth the price of admission. Right? Thank you.
So when's the premiere to the show?
We're going to premiere this on September the 12th, which is a Thursday at Samuel de Champlain on Reggie Point Road. The film's going to screen at 8 p.m., but there'll be a reception preceding it at 6.
Okay.
So from 6 to 7:45, there's a reception, there's a cash bar. 8 o'clock, the show will go on, and the MC for that night is a fellow named John Blizzard, who's an up-and-coming filmmaker, and I see big things in his future. And
awesome.
He also has a small part in the movie as a bookie.
Good. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with me tonight.
Well,
I'm really looking forward to it, and I know that everybody else now knows about it, so they should also keep an eye out for it. And so thank you so much. Now, stay tuned. I have one more guest for the show. Her name is Kylie Fox, and she'll be on right after this.
My mother said we had to leave home. The communists were going to take my father away. If my parents were afraid, they didn't show us. But we would never forget our escape from Vietnam. We were lost.
What was your job in Vietnam?
University professor.
We had no home.
Do you have any family in Canada?
No, sir.
Nobody wanted us.
Welcome to Canada.
Canada chose us.
Canadians opened their borders, their homes, and their hearts to more than 100,000 refugees fleeing persecution after the Vietnam War.
We were home.
Support your local charities and win great prizes by playing bingo on Rogers TV.
Party people, you ready to dance?
Ready to summer it up on Disney Channel? Then you're ready for a ride that's wild.
Whoa.
And roller coasters of the emotional kind.
You seem extremely huggable.
All summer.
So excited about summer.
New shows.
No spoilers, please.
New episodes.
Unexpected twist.
Every weekend.
Soup's exciting.
We make it look easy, don't we?
No, we don't.
Summer it up on Disney Channel.
Sorry, it's catchy.
Did you know, since 1985, Crime Stoppers has helped solve close to 8,000 crimes in New Brunswick? Crime Stoppers, 1-800-222-TIPS. That's 1-800-222-8477 or www.crimenb.ca.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. I'm now with my fourth guest of this evening's show of What Matters Most, and her name is Kylie Fox. How are you?
Hi, I'm awesome.
Awesome.
I'm happy to be here, Heather.
I love your energy. I can feel it from all the way over here. Singer-songwriter, Kylie, where'd that come from?
Yeah, well, when I was, all my childhood, I was on the stage. My mom put me into the Interaction Children's Theatre School when I was like 6 or 7.
Okay.
And of course that involved musical theater as well, so I started singing and singing lessons. And but my first year at university, I went to classical acting school.
Okay.
But I missed music. So I auditioned for a musical theater school, and they said, your acting chops, you got them, you need more control with your voice. So I ended up going to Mount Allison and enrolling in an opera program.
Wow.
And at Mount A, I got into a group of peers, and everyone was writing songs and sharing songs, and it was really inspiring, and I started writing a lot. Actually, I started writing vulgar joke songs that were like a huge hit at the campus bars.
Excellent.
And they were catchy and easy to learn, and people were singing them along with me, and the more I wrote, the easier writing came, and I started writing about everything. Eventually, I put out an EP of 7 songs.
Oh, wow.
In November of 2017.
Okay.
And since then, I've had a band. I have the best band, and we've toured. I've toured 3. I've done 3 solo tours, different parts of Canada. I did the West Coast in February, and as far as Windsor twice. And touring is inspiration for songwriting on its own, because you're always meeting new people and seeing, experiencing new places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really, really. That's engulfing like your whole destiny, really. It sort of takes you on a path, and you get to enjoy the ride, right?
Yeah, you just drive.
Just drive. I love it. So I noticed that you sent a few pictures, and they'll be, I'm sure, putting those up for us. I see they're local areas, like the Fairport. I'm like, what's the catch with those? Is that just
well, we were looking for something to place me in St. John, because I like I love St. John. I love being from St. John, and I thought it was kind of quirky to pose in front of Jim Bobs and camo cargo pants.
I love it.
And the Fairport ended up being a really cool, or the Fairmont.
Yep, Fairport's right.
Because it got demolished like shortly after that photo was taken.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I pass that building often because it's just in my neighborhood.
Yeah. And it was run down for so long.
It was run down for so long. It was like an old fish and chip place or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we thought it was kind of a neat idea.
I think it was before your time, but because you're
how old are you
now?
I have like a small recollection of eating a piece of cake there when I was little.
And it was closed down right after that, I'm sure. So what are you working on right now? What can you tell us that you're working on?
Well, I'm actually working on my first full-length album.
Okay.
There's 11 songs that I've written, I guess, since my last project was released. There's songs about supply teaching, songs about touring, songs I've written for my friends getting married or my friends having a baby. Like, they're very early 20s songs. They're kind of quirky. I've been told that they're introspective. I've been compared to, not that I in anywhere close to the realm that Joni Mitchell is in, but she's kind of my queen in terms of a folk singer and a writer for sure. So
wow.
I've grown up with Joni Mitchell always.
Okay.
So she's kind of, made the bar for how to construct a poem.
Okay.
For me, and like how to observe things, and I've also been compared to John Prine in his way of making you laugh and then suddenly making it feel really touching and sentimental.
Oh, nice.
That's how I try to craft my music anyway.
Mm-hmm. Has it always been that way, or did you kind of take a different direction as you're learning and you're going through your life, basically?
Well, I think the first songs I started writing was when I was leaving home to go to university. So I wrote a goodbye song for both of my parents.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, and the one I wrote for my dad, I wrote with Joni Mitchell lyrics. I put, I think, 14 different Joni Mitchell songs into one song.
Wow.
Because Joni Mitchell is his favorite.
Nice.
But then, like I said, I went to Mount Allison and I got the feeling of entertaining a huge crowd of people with humor. Mm-hmm. And it really draws people's attention when they're waiting for the next joke. So if I'm constructing a set list, I'll put one of my funny songs right before one of the songs that I really want them to listen to and that will hit home. Because they're tuning in so they can hear, like, what's the next funny thing she's going to say.
I love that. Mm-hmm. So how can people follow you? What's the best way to locate Kylie Fox?
Right. Well, I'm an independent musician. So that means that I'm not supported financially by a label.
Okay.
Or I don't have a contract or anything.
Okay.
So the best way to support an independent musician is following the social media and sharing the posts and supporting that way. So liking my Facebook page, following me on Instagram, and I'm fundraising to put out an album. And putting out an album by myself is costing me every limb and probably my firstborn child.
It's expensive,
I've been doing a summer-long bottle drive and putting like a little here, away here and there.
You're very resourceful.
I work a couple jobs, but it's all in good fun. I've on Friday I released an Indiegogo campaign.
Oh.
So viewers, if you're interested, you can go onto Indiegogo. They can search Kylie Fox Records full-length album, and they can donate even $5.
Wow.
If everyone who's seen the video so far, I can see that over 2,000 people have seen the video. If everyone donated $1, I'd be on my way.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Well,
what's a ballpark cost for actually creating a record, or I should say record, or what is it? What is it now?
Well, it really varies on your team. And I've found someone in Nova Scotia who I really trust I've made the right choice with.
Good.
But you also have to think about the manufacturing of the CDs. I'm pressing vinyl. Your band.
Fees.
Yeah. A photographer, graphic design.
Fees.
It's fees.
Everything's fees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except for you.
Around $10,000 for this project.
Wow.
But if I become like Alanis Morissette, we're looking at much more than that.
Yeah.
But hopefully by then I'll be back.
Definitely good investment. I'm going to have you on. We'll have you playing. It's unfortunate that we don't have that set up quite yet, but maybe in the future we will.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So, you play some instruments, don't you? Or do you play guitar?
I play guitar, yeah. I play piano as well, but it's mostly the guitar because that's what you can kind of throw in your trunk and drive across the country with. It's also good around the bonfire. I was a tree planter for 3 summers, and that was also a great way to write songs because for 10 days, or maybe for 10 hours a day, you were in your head doing the same monotonous thing over and over. So you'd get a song stuck in your head and develop it. And by the time you got home in your tent, you could start working on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love your music. I have actually had an opportunity to listen to a few of your lyrics, so it's really good. What advice can you give somebody that may be younger than you that has your ambitions to be a songwriter or maybe just write songs? What would you suggest to them? Because you're still really young, right? You're like maybe 20?
I'm 24.
You're 24. Okay, so 24, you're still really young, especially to me. So what would you suggest to somebody in their teens that are thinking, oh, well, Severin says I shouldn't do it? What do you think?
Well, sing in front of someone else first. If you're like a closet musician, get it out there. Because once you get the feeling of what it's like to have an audience, you're going to get hooked. And I'm not saying it's a really good addiction to have, because it means you'll never have a normal job. But I also would say go for it, because if you don't, you'll always wonder, what if? And there's always room to find a balance. I have an understanding that I might not be able to support myself with music forever. So you have to find something that it will enable you to do what you love and what you're passionate about, but will also, make sure you have a nice house and a nice car.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Because those are all things that you can acquire once you've, made it, sort of deal. Have you had some opportunities from local people to help support what you're doing, or have you had a chance to, play for crowds?
I was billeting someone who was on tour, kind of when I was younger and hadn't toured before, and they told me, the more you tour, the smaller the world gets.
Is that
and
right?
I understand what he means now, because after 4 tours, you're constantly networking, and it's the other independent local musicians that are going to help you out. Like, I have a friend, in Windsor, Ontario, and I know that when I play a show in Windsor, she's going to put me up, and we'll play a show together. And recently this summer, she came on a tour out east, and I put her up. It's like, or she'll give me her contacts, because independently, a lot of us are booking our own shows, and it's an illusion, honestly. It's like, I'm writing a blog. I only write it when I'm touring. It's called the DIY Road Diaries. You can find it online.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I started it mainly for my mom. So when I was going on a big tour, it didn't seem so scary for her, like such an abyss. Like if she could read what I was doing and imagine it in her head, it wouldn't seem so scary for her, because she's my mom.
Right.
But the blog ended up becoming like a really nice companion and a really nice way to document all the people I met and all the crazy things that happen on tour, because it's so serendipitous. And like, I accidentally played a show in my slippers, and I had to drive around the St. Lawrence River when I missed a ferry once, and
oh my gosh,
I killed a chicken.
Oh gosh.
Just, you never know what's going to happen, and it's all on you. Luckily, I have a high tolerance for my own kind of flightiness. Enjoy.
Well, I think that adds to your charm, though, Kylie. Is it Kylie or Kaylee?
Kylie. Yeah.
Kylie. Sorry, I've called you Kaylee before. So people need to. The best thing to do is what? Facebook follow you?
Follow me on Facebook, and on my Facebook page you can find the link to the Indiegogo campaign, and also follow me on Instagram, and you can kind of see a lot of the times I do behind the scenes of the shows I'm playing. Like I did Area 506 earlier this summer, and kind of did what it's like to be backstage and
That's
stuff
cool.
like that. Yeah.
You get to mingle a little bit with them, with the backstage artists.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Was there a good crowd for you this year down at 506?
Yeah, 2:30 crowd showed up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent. Were you on Saturday?
Saturday afternoon.
Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure that there'll be lots more opportunities of you being on stage, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being with us. And thank you, you wonderful audience that watches us every second week. And I would really like to thank the volunteers at Rogers. I would like to thank our guest, Kylie, and also to Guy and Kayla and Jessica and Jeff. And do tune in again for the next show in a couple of weeks, and we'll have wonderful guests from our St. John surrounding area.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
When you become a Rogers volunteer, it's always an opportunity for everybody to come together and try different things that they've never been able to do before.
What I've learned here is different skills that I thought I would never even be interested in learning.
By being here at Rogers, I can learn all these different things that will help me be stronger.
Working here as a volunteer is a good way to get to know your community. It's a good way to learn how to work as a part of a team.
They're people from our community, so they know and they have a heart for our community to step outside of our comfort zone and do more.
Don't be afraid, because this is where you're going to gain the most valuable experience that you can use in your future.
I encourage everybody to be a volunteer at Rogers TV, because not only do you grow professionally, you grow personally as well.
This is Rogers TV, New Brunswick.
Hey, did you know?
More than 4,500 Canadians are waiting for an organ transplant right now.
Right now.
4,500.
People are dying.
And you could save a life.
90% of Canadians say they're willing to donate their organs.
but only a few are registered.
So what are you waiting for?
Get registered.
It's easy and it's free.
Leave a legacy.
Be a hero.
Save a life.
Find out how to register today.